You have an interest in a piece of land just up here. So here's Halland. Here's East Hoadley. Here's Halland. So we're due sort of just north towards Hawkins Common, if that's the correct. It's just a piece of land here. And Susan is interested in, if I just get your statement up that goes with this. You'd like to put forward this parcel of land, 2.5 acres, to be included in supply for development. Purchase the land from Mr. Peter Clark, who is a vet. Had it over 10 years. Roughly triangular area leads between Hollow Lane and Laundry Lane in Davistown, east of Hoadley, area of East Hoadley. We've got the map. Level, well drained, and so on. It's all in the printed statement. But what Susan is saying is, you're going to put this forward for development, as is your right. You own it. In conclusion, I'll just whiz through it a little bit. Sorry, I'll go back to the houses. I would grant professional advice from Wealdon District Council and others to the numbers and type of houses that could be built out here. Personally, I'd see chalet type houses with reasonably low roof line. You could have enough downstairs space for home office as possible. Work options, downstairs space used for different areas. 8 to 10 houses could be easily built on the site. Take advice on it. In conclusion, I'm not alone in hoping East Hoadley can achieve its new build requirements using a number of smaller sites. So we've got a local resident, he's also a local landowner, and we've heard from Matt about community street, some low-lying stuff. We've got already really helpfully you're talking about low roof lines and so on in this area. If we just go back to the map, you are somewhat remote from the main settlement. Wealdon District Council would perhaps say, well, this is not connected. Already you're considered a less sustainable location than others, and Jonathan talked at length about the assessment that says he thinks it's over ambitious in terms of the way East Hoadley's been described as sustainable, and that's, we're talking about the main village. So building properties out here, maybe 10 or so, would they be driving to the shop and the pub? Possibly, probably. Can they walk? You know, is that a sustainable location? That's the land Susan has an interest in and owns, but that is a small site that could help deliver housing. But is it well connected enough? So
it's about 10 minutes walk from East Hoadley, and a lot of people around that area do walk to East Hoadley village, shop, etc.
Okay. So these are challenges. My test is always, how would you walk it on a wet Wednesday night in November? No. Probably not. So we need, this may generate traffic that you wouldn't otherwise have, and we just talked about the problems with that. But nevertheless, it's a beautiful part of the parish, and some fabulous Bill Dunster-inspired scheme up there could be quite special. So there's a benefit, you know, we want to try and join the dots this morning between opportunities like this and projects like that.
It's not something I considered before, but with all the information sort of trickling down from government, because we've got these 2 days, you know, to discuss things, I just thought I'd put it in.
Absolutely, you've done absolutely the right thing. If you've got an interest like this, put it on the table, let's see where it leads to. It might come to nothing, or it could come to something really special. So we just need to think about how that fits. But thank you for the map and the statements there. And you're with us next 2 days, so people can speak to Susan about it. Okay, any comments on that as a potential site for development? Okay.
I think you've highlighted it really, Richard, haven't you, that if we're talking about affordable housing, so folks with less disposable income, that if you live there, you certainly need a vehicle.
It is somewhat detached from all the hub of activity and life of the village, and it doesn't, on the face of it, it wouldn't pass the sort of test that Wealdon would put in place about adjacent to the existing areas.
We're not talking about solely affordable housing, we're talking about building in general, aren't we?
No, in building in general, it wouldn't pass the need. I mean, Wealdon would say, well, how close are you to existing facilities? The closer you are, the more likely you are to get planning permission. If you're immediately adjacent to the built area, that's the most likely.
But we've accepted that the centre of East Hoadley is going to be very congested with building.
And then, therefore, the other arguments you can start to build as a group is, actually, if this gets bigger and bigger and bigger, we're going to lose some of that quality, and maybe discrete outer-lying areas of 5, 10 homes may be better than making this a large village or even a small town over the next generation. So these are not solutions that you'd rule out immediately, and we're doing some work in the High Weald AONB. If anyone knows that part of Weald down in Kent, East Sussex boundary. And the farmstead model of lots of scattered settlements is historically how that place grew up. It wasn't large villages, and actually little pockets of development they would like to see over an expansion of their main settlement. But Tunbridge Wells District Council say that that's not their preferred pattern of development. But if you go back to the medieval times and onwards, that is what happened. So this sort of thing can work, but there are certain tests it must pass to get through to that. So we need to think about it. Okay.